Ethan Cole sat quietly by the window of the shuttle, watching the planet grow larger on the screen. Caldronis Prime, a new world, a dangerous world, but also a world full of new chances. The sky outside was green and gold, and the clouds looked like slow-moving fire. He had never seen anything like it. Ethan was not a soldier. He was a technician from Earth, skilled with machines and tools. He had been chosen for this mission because of his calm mind and quiet strength. But even he felt nervous now. He was part of a peace group from Earth, sent to talk with the Varnari, a strong warrior race that ruled this world. The Varnari did not trust humans. They thought Earth people were weak, soft, and full of fear. The Varnari only respected strength. They lived by battle, by training, and by honor. Many people on Earth were afraid of them, but Earth leaders wanted peace. They wanted trade and safety. So they sent a group of humans to speak face to face. When the shuttle landed, Ethan stepped out with the others. The ground was dry and red. Tall stone towers rose around them, and armored Varnari guards watched from the shadows. They were tall, with strong bodies and deep eyes. Their armor was thick and old, marked with scars from battle. At the front of the group stood a female warrior. Her armor was dark silver, and her eyes were bright blue. She looked strong, fast, and proud. Her name was Kalira. She was a commander, known for her skill in war. She looked at the humans with a smile, but not a kind one. "Is this all Earth has to offer?" Kalira said. Her voice was cold and clear. "These small ones with soft skin and quiet hearts." Some of the humans looked away. Some lowered their heads, but Ethan looked straight at her. He said nothing. Kalira saw him and laughed. She pointed at him. "This one," she said, "does he even carry a weapon?" "I am a technician," Ethan said, his voice calm. "I fix things. I keep machines working." "Then why are you here?" she asked. "You are not a warrior. You do not belong in our halls." Ethan did not answer right away. He looked around, taking in the walls, the guards, the weapons. Then he said, "Sometimes the ones who fix things are the ones who stop wars." Kalira narrowed her eyes. She stepped closer, looking down at him. He was shorter, smaller, and lighter. She laughed again. "Perhaps you should come watch the trials tomorrow," she said. "You will see what true strength looks like." Ethan nodded. "I will come." The next morning, the human team walked to the trial grounds with the Varna. The area was wide, open, and dusty. There were large circles marked in the dirt where warriors would fight. Around the edges stood crowds of Varnari, shouting and cheering. The first match was between two young Varnari soldiers. They fought with long staffs and heavy shields. Their movements were fast and strong. When one knocked the other down, the crowd roared. Ethan watched closely. He didn't cheer, he didn't smile. He studied every step, every move. Kalira stood beside him. "You see now why your kind cannot lead here," she said. "We were born to fight. We train from the time we can walk. What does Earth teach its young? How to read stories and fix toys." Ethan turned to her. "We teach peace. We teach how to live without war." "Then you teach weakness," Kalira said. The next event was the war beast trial. A giant creature, almost 3 times the size of a horse, was brought into the circle. It had 6 legs, thick armor plates, and glowing red eyes. It roared, shaking. The ground, Kalira smiled. Only the strongest can control a war beast. Most need machines to help. Some Varnari trained for years just to lift one of its legs. Ethan watched as the beast stomped and roared. He could feel its weight in his chest, but his eyes were calm. "Do you want to try?" Kalira said, half joking. The other Varnari laughed. To her surprise, Ethan nodded. "Yes," he said. "Let me try." The laughter stopped. "You are serious?" Kalira asked. "Yes," he said. The Varnari guards looked at each other, confused. Kalira frowned, then gave a short nod. Let him step into the ring. Ethan walked into the circle. The war beast turned its head and growled. The crowd held its breath. Ethan walked slowly. He raised one hand, calm and steady. The beast snorted, but didn't attack. He moved closer and placed his hand on its thick neck. Then he whispered something. Kalira leaned forward. "What is he doing?" Ethan took a deep breath. Then, with one smooth motion, he bent his knees, grabbed the creature's front limb, and lifted Dot. The war beast's front half rose from the ground. Its weight shifted. It let out a surprised grunt, and then lowered itself, kneeling. The stared in silence. Ethan stepped back. He looked at Kalira and said, "Strength is more than size." She said nothing, but she didn't laugh this time. The air was cool the next morning, but tension was high. The story of Ethan lifting the war beast had already spread across the Varnari city. Many warriors came to the trial grounds early, hoping to see more. They didn't understand how someone so small, so quiet, had done something many of them could not. Some thought it was a trick, others said it was luck, but all of them were curious. Kalira walked through the crowd with her head held high. She had not slept well. Thoughts of Ethan lifting the beast kept coming back to her. She had seen strong warriors fail to move the creature, yet this human had done it so easily. It made her wonder. Ethan arrived with the other humans. He wore the same simple clothes, no armor, no weapon. He walked calmly, eyes steady, even though he knew all eyes were on him. Some Varnari pointed. Others whispered. Kale. Ira stepped in front of him. "You surprised many of us," she said. "I only did what you asked," Ethan replied. "Now many of my people say you should face the trials, not as a visitor, but as a challenger." Ethan looked at her. "And what do you say?" Kalira's eyes narrowed. "I say, if you are brave enough to lift a beast, you should be brave enough to face a real challenge." Ethan nodded. "Then I accept." The Varnari warriors around them roared in approval. This was what they respected, action, not talk. Kalira gave Ethan a short nod and turned to speak with the trial masters. Later that day, the trial circle was cleaned and prepared. Weapons were placed in racks at the side, wooden staffs, stone blades, and heavy shields. Ethan stood quietly in the center. As the rules were explained, "There will be 3 tests," said the trial master. "The first is speed and balance. The second is strength. The third is combat. Win 2 out of 3 and you pass. Fail and you leave the field in shame." Kalira stood with the other Varnari leaders. She didn't speak, but she watched Ethan. Closely, the first test began. A maze of tall wooden poles was set up across the trial ground. Ropes and swinging logs moved across the path. The challenger had to move through it without falling or stopping. A young Varnari male ran first. He moved quickly, ducking and jumping with ease. The crowd cheered. Then it was Ethan's turn. He took a deep breath and stepped into the maze. His steps were slow at first, careful. Then he began to move faster. He bent low under swinging logs, rolled between poles, and climbed over ropes. He was not the fastest, but he didn't fall. He didn't stop. He reached the end, breathing hard but steady. The crowd gave polite applause. He had passed. The second test was harder. A huge stone block had to be moved across the circle. It weighed more than most people. Many Varnari trained for years to move it even a few steps. Kellyra watched with interest. This was the test she thought he might pass. She had seen his strange strength already. The same young Varnari went first. He managed to push the block about 6 feet before falling to his knees. The crowd clapped. Ethan stepped forward. He placed his hands under the block and pushed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the stone began to move. Inch by inch, step by step, he dragged it across the ground. He passed the line the Varnari had reached. Then he pushed farther. 10 feet, 12, 15. Then he stopped and stepped back, breathing deeply. Now the crowd cheered louder. Even the trial master looked surprised. Ethan had passed again. Kellyra crossed her arms. She didn't smile, but she nodded. The final test was combat. Ethan stepped into the circle once more. Across from him stood a young female Varnari warrior. Her name was Valren. She was strong, fast, and eager to prove herself. She held a wooden staff and wore light armor. Ethan picked up a simple stick. It was shorter than Valren's staff. He didn't wear armor. The trial master raised a hand. Begin, Valren rushed forward, staff swinging. Ethan dodged to the side. She struck again, fast and sharp. He blocked, then stepped back. For many minutes, they moved across the circle. Ethan was not as fast, but he was careful. He blocked well, dodged smart, and used small openings to strike back. He didn't try to win with power. He used timing. He used control. In the end, Valren's foot slipped. Ethan moved in, placed the short stick against her chest, and pushed her down. The trial master raised his hand. Match complete. The crowd stood in silence for a moment. Then they roared with cheers. A human had passed all 3 trials. Kellyra stepped into the circle. She looked at Ethan closely. You fight like no warrior I have met. You move like water. You do not rush. You do not show fear. I only fight when I must, Ethan said. She looked at him for a long time. You are strange, Ethan Cole, but perhaps not weak. Ethan gave a small smile. Perhaps strength comes in many shapes. The Varnari crowd had seen something new that day. A human, not large, not loud, had faced their trials and won. Some still did not understand how, but they could not deny what they had seen. Ethan had earned their respect. Even Kellyra, who once laughed. The sun was bright above the Varnari training grounds. The dust rose as more warriors gathered to see Ethan again. After his success in the trials, everyone was talking about him. A human who fought like a shadow and lifted a stone like a giant. Many still could not believe it. Kellyra stood near the edge of the field, watching in silence. Her eyes followed Ethan as he moved. He was not showing off. He didn't walk like a warrior. But there was something quiet and strong about him. She felt something strange when she looked at him. It was not anger. It was not mockery. It was something new. Ethan walked across the field, not looking at the crowd. He had come to see the war beasts again. He wanted to study them. These creatures were huge, with thick skin and 6 powerful legs. Their eyes were dark, but full of life. Each one was dangerous, but also beautiful in a way. He stepped close to one of the beasts. It looked down at him with a deep growl. Ivan. Handler shouted, "Step back, human. It may crush you." Ethan didn't move. He raised one hand slowly and looked into the beast's eyes. He spoke gently in a soft voice. No one could hear the words, but the war beast tilted its head. It stopped growling. Kellyra stepped forward. "You speak to it like a friend," she said. "I don't want it to see me as a threat," Ethan replied. "That will not stop it from crushing you if it decides to charge." Ethan smiled. "Maybe, but I think it's listening." The crowd had grown quiet. They watched Ethan place both hands on the side of the beast's neck. He stood still for a moment. Then he stepped back, bent his knees, and placed his hands under one of the front legs. Gasps came from the crowd. No one believed he would try again. Ethan took a deep breath and pulled. The war beast lifted. Its huge leg came off the ground. The beast let out a strange sound, not pain, but surprise. Slowly, its body shifted. The front part of its massive frame rose a few inches. Then, even more slowly, the beast bent its other legs and knelt. The whole crowd stared in shock. The beast knelt to Ethan. Kellyra stepped closer. Her voice was soft. "How did you do that?" I asked it. Then I helped it understand. She shook her head. "That is not strength. That is something else." "It is strength," Ethan said, "but not the kind that breaks, the kind that connects." The war beast stayed down, calm and quiet. Ethan stepped back and let the handlers take over. After the beast was led away, Kellyra walked beside Ethan. "I want to understand," she said. "Why are you strong? You do not train like we do. You do not eat like we do. You are small. Your people are known for building, not fighting." Ethan thought for a moment. Then he said, "Earth is not a kind world. Many parts are dangerous. Some of us were changed to survive better." Kellyra looked. "Confused, changed, modified," Ethan said. "Not with weapons, with science. To make our bodies stronger, so we could live in places with heavy gravity, strong winds, or deep pressure." I was born in one of those places. Kellyra blinked. She had never heard of such a thing. "You were shaped by your world." "Yes, but not. Just by nature, by choice." She looked away for a moment, then back at him. "And what about the others? Are they like you?" "Some are," Ethan answered. "But most are not. I am not better, just different." Kellyra nodded. Her voice was quiet. "You confuse me, Ethan Cole. You do not boast. You do not fight with rage. You do not take pride in power. Yet you do things our strongest warriors cannot." Ethan looked at her. "Maybe strength is not what you thought it was." They walked together in silence for a time. Warriors moved around them, talking and training, but the two of them were lost in thought. Later that night, Kellyra sat in her quarters. She stared at the fire and thought about the day. She remembered her first words to Ethan, the way she had laughed at him, the way she had pointed and mocked. But now she wasn't laughing. She was thinking. The war beast had obeyed Ethan, not because of fear, not because of force, but because of something else. She wondered what that something was. The next morning, she sent a message to Ethan. "Meet me at the trial grounds. I want to see more." Ethan arrived a little later. He wore the same simple clothes, looking calm and quiet. "What do you want to see?" he asked. Kellyra pointed to a line of younger warriors. "I want you to teach, just for a short time. Show them what you did with the war beast." Ethan looked surprised. "I'm not a teacher. You are today," she said, so he began. He showed them how to approach the beast, how to stay calm, how to move slowly and speak gently. At first, the young warriors didn't listen, but when one of them followed his steps, the war beast lowered its head. The young warrior turned to Kiliara. "It works." Kiliara said nothing, but her eyes were wide. Ethan turned to her. "It's not just about lifting, it's about understanding." That day, something changed in Kylira's heart. She no longer saw Ethan as weak. She no longer saw him as just a visitor. She saw him as a mystery and, maybe, a key to something greater, and, though she did not say it out loud, she was no longer laughing at human strength. She was beginning to respect it. Asterisk. Ethan sat under a large tree near the edge of the training grounds. The wind was soft, and the sky above was a mix of orange and pink. He watched the young Varnari warriors practicing. They moved with power and speed. Some were starting to use the quiet methods he had shown them. Keliara walked over and sat beside him. She said nothing at first. They watched in silence as one of the war beasts bent its head gently for a young warrior. "They are learning," she said. Ethan nodded. "Yes, they are strong and smart." She looked at him. "You speak to the beasts like they are your friends. Why do you not treat them like tools, like most warriors do?" Ethan looked at the war beast. "Because they feel, they remember. If you hurt them, they learn fear. If you show kindness, they learn trust. I want them to trust me." Kalira was quiet for a while. Then she asked, "Back on the first day, when you lifted the beast, how did you do it? Not just with calm hands, but with real strength." Ethan looked at her. She was not mocking him this time. Her voice was curious. He sighed. "You remember, I said, Earth is not always a kind place." She nodded. "Some humans were changed, not all, just a few of us. I am one of them." "Changed how?" she asked. "Our science helped us. We made our bodies stronger, not like your warriors who train every day, but deep inside our bones, our muscles. Our cells were adjusted so we could survive hard places." Kellyra frowned. "You were built for strength." Ethan nodded. "Yes, I was born on a heavy gravity colony. The ground pulled harder than normal Earth. People who lived there had to be strong or they couldn't walk. So, before I was born, I was given small changes." Kalira stood up and began to walk slowly. She seemed to be thinking deeply. "So your strength comes from science, not training?" Ethan shook his head. "Both science gave me a base, but I still had to learn. I still had to train. I still had to be careful. Strength without control is just danger." Kaliara turned and looked at him. "Do others fear you on Earth?" "Sometimes," he said. "But I don't use my strength to harm. That is why I became a technician. I help, I fix, I build." She sat down again. "You are not like the stories we hear about humans." "Maybe your stories were wrong," Ethan said with a small smile. Kellerer smiled too. Just a little. The next day, the Council of Varnari leaders held a meeting. Many were still unsure about the humans. Some respected Ethan now, but others thought he was just one rare case. They didn't know if peace was the right choice. Kalira stood in the middle of the great hall and spoke. "I once laughed at the humans," she began. "I saw small bodies and quiet voices and thought they were weak. But I was wrong. The room was quiet. Ethan Cole showed us another kind of strength, a strength of heart, of patience, of control. He has faced our trials and passed them. He has shown the war beasts more respect than many of our own warriors. And he has done all this not with hate, but with peace. One elder stood. He is only one. What if the others are not like him? Kellera nodded. Then we will teach them, like he teaches us. We will grow together. The council did not answer right away, but many of them looked thoughtful. Some nodded slowly. That evening, Ethan returned to the warbeast stables. He found one of the younger beasts limping. It had a wound on its leg. Quietly, he cleaned it, bandaged it, and spoke to the creature with gentle words. Kellera watched. From a distance, she saw how careful he was, how kind, how patient. When he finished, he looked up and saw her. "You could have called for help," she said. "It was easier to do it myself," he replied. She walked closer. "You act like it is your duty to care, even when no one sees." "It is not duty," he said. "It is choice." Kellera was silent again. She was learning more than she expected. The days passed. Ethan became known in the training fields, in the stables, and even among the elders. He did not try to be a leader. He did not ask for praise. He just did what needed to be done, and slowly the Varnari began to change. They listened more. They watched more. Some of them stopped mocking the humans. Some even asked questions. One or two tried Ethan's training style with success. And Ethan spent more time together. They walked the stone paths in the evening. They talked about their worlds, their people, their dreams. One night, Kellera asked, "If there is war between us, will you fight?" Ethan looked at the stars. "Only to protect, never to destroy." She nodded. "That is strange to me, but I respect it." Ethan turned to her. "What about you? Would you fight me if your leaders gave the order?" She looked at him. Her voice was soft. It was a quiet morning. The sky was soft blue, and the city of the Varnari seemed at peace. Birds flew low over the towers, and the training grounds were still. Ethan was working near the power systems of the human base. He was fixing a broken panel with calm hands and focused eyes. Kellera had just finished her morning drills. She was about to walk to the stables when she heard a sound, a loud boom, then another. The ground shook. She ran to the top of the watchtower. In the distance, black smoke was rising. She saw fire near the edge of the city where the human camp stood. "What happened?" she shouted. A soldier beside her answered, "A rogue Varnari clan. They launched an attack. They don't want peace. They want the humans gone." Kellera's heart sank. Ethan. She ran from the tower toward the camp. The camp was under fire. Small ships hovered above, firing energy blasts. Warriors in dark armor moved through the smoke. Some humans were fighting back with small weapons. Others were hiding. Kellera moved fast, striking down attackers with her spear. She searched the smoke for one face. She found Ethan near the communication tent. He was helping carry a wounded human to safety. His clothes were burned, and there was blood on his arm, but he kept moving. "Ethan," she called. He turned. Relief washed over his face. "Kellera, they came out of nowhere. We tried to send a message, but the system's down." "We must get you out of here," she said. "No," he replied. "Not yet. There are still people inside." Another explosion shook the ground. Ethan and Kellera ducked. Pieces of metal flew through the air. They moved together toward the ruins of the medical tent. Inside were two humans, trapped under broken beams. Kellera grabbed one side, Ethan the other. Together, they lifted the heavy metal. The humans crawled out. One of them looked at Ethan. "You saved us." Ethan nodded. "Get to the shuttle. Stay low." More attackers rushed in. Kalira fought them off, while Ethan helped the others escape. His movements were fast, but careful. He used the broken parts of the camp to create cover. He found a metal rod and used it. Like a staff, Kalira saw him take down 2 Varnari attackers with clean strikes. One of them was twice his size. Still, Ethan did not fight with hate. His eyes were focused, not angry. At last, the fighting slowed. Reinforcements from the Varnari city arrived, driving the rogue warriors back. Some were captured, some fled. The human camp was a mess. Tents were destroyed. Equipment was damaged. But most of the humans were alive because of Ethan. Kalira stood with him in the ruins. "You could have run," she said. "I had to help," he replied. She looked at his torn clothes and the blood on his face. "You are not a soldier." "No," he said, "but I couldn't leave them." The Varnari leader, Elder Norak, arrived. He looked at the damage, then at Ethan. "You stayed and fought," Norak said, "even when you could have escaped." Ethan nodded. "You risked your life for our people too," Norak added. Ethan said nothing. Norak turned to Kalira. "Perhaps peace is not built only by words. Sometimes it is built by actions." Kalira agreed. "Ethan has shown us more than many warriors ever could." That night, the humans stayed inside the city walls for safety. Ethan sat with Kalira on the high steps of the tower. "I thought we were making progress," Ethan said, "but it's all so fragile." Kalira nodded. "Change always brings fear. Some would rather destroy peace than accept it." He looked at her. "Do you think they'll attack again?" "Not soon," she said. "Now they know we will fight back." Together, Ethan smiled. Together, for a moment, they sat in silence. The stars were bright above. Kalira looked at him. "You saved me today, too." Ethan shook his head. "We saved each other." She reached out and took his hand. Her touch was firm but gentle. "If war returns, I want you by my side." "Always," Ethan said. The fires from the attack had gone out, but something new had been lit in the hearts of many. Hope. Not just for peace, but for true friendship. The next morning, the Varnari Council gathered again. This time, they invited Ethan to stand before them. He spoke clearly. "Not all humans are strong like me, and not all Varnari want war. But if we walk together, we can build something better. Something strong, not with weapons, but with trust." The council listened, and for the first time, they all agreed. Peace would not be easy. But now it had a chance, and it had a protector with a quiet voice and a strong heart. The days after the attack were quiet but tense. The city was being repaired, and the humans helped. Ethan worked every day with both humans and Varnari, fixing broken tools, building shelters, and bringing power back to the damaged areas. He never stopped moving, even though his shoulder was still sore from the fight. Kalira often watched him. He did not act like a hero. He did not ask for thanks. He just did what was needed, and others followed him. Young warriors came to ask questions. Some helped with repairs. Slowly, walls between the two groups began to fall. One evening, Kalira invited Ethan to a quiet garden inside the Varnari Tower. It was a peaceful place, full of silver trees and soft lights. "You have changed many things here," she said. Ethan looked around, not alone. Change comes when people open their minds. Kalira sat beside him. My people were proud. Too proud to listen, but now they see your strength. Not just your body, but your heart, your calm, your care. Ethan smiled. I never came here to be a warrior. I only wanted to help. She turned toward him. But you have become both. They sat in silence for a while. Then Kalira spoke again. The council wants to start a new program. They want you to help train both Varnari and humans together. Not just in combat, but in skills, engineering, healing, even language. They want you to lead it. Ethan was surprised. I'm not a leader. Kalira shook her head. That's why they chose you. You don't lead by shouting. You lead by doing. Ethan thought for a moment. Then he nodded. All right, I'll try. The training program began the next week. Humans and Varnari worked side by side. Some taught fighting. Others taught building. The war beasts were also part of the training. Ethan showed everyone how to care for them and understand their moods. At first, there were mistakes. One Varnari almost hit a human by accident during a sparring match. Another human broke a tool that was sacred to the Varnari. But instead of fighting, they learned to talk. They started to understand each other. Ethan kept the program simple. Respect first, then skill. Kalira trained with them. She showed powerful moves in the ring, then sat with students to help them write or fix machines. She was proud, but now she listened more. Her heart had changed. One day, during a short break, a young human asked Ethan, "Do you miss Earth?" Ethan thought about it, sometimes. But here, I feel like I can do something real, something good. Another Varnari nodded. You are one of us now. That night, there was a celebration in the city. It was the first time humans and Varnari shared a feast. Food was passed around. Music played, and laughter filled the air. Ethan sat beside Kalira, watching the lights. You've done it, she said. Not alone, he replied. She looked at him. Do you think the peace will last? Ethan took a deep breath. Only if we keep working. Peace is like a machine, it needs care. She smiled. Then I will care for it with you. After the feast, they walked along the quiet paths. The stars above were bright. Ethan looked up. I never thought I would feel at home on a planet so far from Earth. Kalira looked at him. You are not far. You are exactly where you need to be. In the days that followed, the training center grew. New tools were made. More war beasts were added. Ethan and Kalira stood together as guides, not rulers, not commanders, but partners. Some called them the warrior and the engineer. Others just called them friends. Their names became known across other cities. Some even sent messengers asking to join the program. The idea of humans and Varnari working together was spreading, but Ethan never let it go to his head. He stayed simple, quiet, focused. One morning, he walked into the stable and saw a small war beast crying. Its leg was injured. He knelt, spoke soft words, and bandaged the wound himself. A young Varnari watched and whispered to a friend, he is stronger than all of us. Not because he lifts the most, but because he never forgets to care. Kalira heard that, and her heart filled with pride. She walked up to Ethan. You have taught us more than you know. He looked at her, and you have shown me what strength really means. They stood in the morning light, side by side, the warrior and the engineer, and together they were building something stronger than war. They were building peace that would last.